really excited to be on the Ohio Northern Campus, but I'm really jealous of the spring breakers. Aren't all we? I mean, come on. So I'll try and make this kind of painless. So that's my dog Gracie on the left. Oh, and I'm Caitlin Leahy. I'm the project manager for the Partnership for Ag Resource Management. Can I just see a raise of hands for who knows us? All right, kind of a few. Yeah, so that's my dog Gracie on the left, and her friend Kimber is on the right, the German Shepherd. This was taken during one of our many snowstorms this winter. We're stationed out of Madison, Wisconsin, but our resource management specialist, Mark Adelsberger, is in the audience today. He's from out of Ohio. And then Michelle Wiggern is out of Minnesota. So the Partnership for Ag Resource Management, we call ourselves PARM, is a project of the IPM Institute of North America, along with a whole host of others in agriculture and community IPM, so integrated pest management, each focused on using the power of the marketplace to improve sustainability. So we work with industries to balance their need to report to consumers, shareholders, and the public on what they're doing to improve sustainability, and at the same time ensuring that their supply chains operate efficiently. So several of our projects write on IPM and sustainability regularly for Crops and Soils magazine, and others work on the community side in healthcare facilities and schools to address pest problems with efficient pesticide use. So much like food companies, ag retailers have a business imperative to communicate more about their efforts to address their impacts their operations may have on environment and health. So we see this as increasingly relevant with the passing of the Lake Erie Bill of Rights, and which may be adopted in other parts of the country as well moving forward. So we work to protect ag retailers and their customers through our goals, which are to, number one, identify ag retailer revenue opportunities that keep ag puts on cropland, so their customer land, promote those products and services that we identify, track and report sales or adoption, and then estimate nutrient loss reductions from those sales. So the PARM project started in 2010, and this is a time when the Western Lake Erie Basin was experiencing a number of record-breaking algal blooms, as we've all been hearing about. And so working with Heidelberg University, so luckily Laura went before me, we knew that the phosphorus feeding the blooms was coming primarily from cropland due to the timings of the load. They spiked during snow melt and rain events during spring and winter, following fall applications. However, she was just saying that that's okay, but just do the 4 R's, right? So Dr. Thomas Green, IPM's president, and Dr. Dave Baker, so the founder of the National Center for Water Quality Research, held a number of focus groups in the Sandusky River watershed with ag retailers to figure out how we could work together to address these water quality issues. And so after several discussions, we came up with an idea to increase sales and revenue generating products and services that also reduce phosphorus and nitrogen losses. So we came up with a suite of products and services to promote. This is just a few of them paired with nutrient loss reduction averages from our archive of published studies. And so these numbers, they're variable based on proximity to surface water, soil type, and so forth. But they give us the best idea of where we can make impacts. So we came up with this calculator with Heidelberg University that pairs those the literature averages with watershed modeling data based on hydrologic response units and unit area loads depending on available data. So after establishing these metrics, we initiated our project with 12 ag retailers in the Sandusky River watershed to promote those products and services and to track and report sales through our annual surveys. So you'll notice that there's some information missing in variable rate nitrogen. We didn't start recording effects on nitrogen loss reduction and additional products and services that impact those until 2017. So when we started in the Sandusky River watershed, variable rate technology adoption was around 16.5% of serviced acres. And we wanted to increase that number based on precision ag driving the market and the benefits of more efficiently applying fertilizer. So in 2015, we were granted funding through the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, and later in 2016, the EPA's Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, to allow ag retailers to offer their customers up to 100 free VRT acres in 4 Ohio watersheds. So to date, we've distributed over 26,500 VRT acres through 26 active ag retailer participants and their combined 343 growers. And the response has been pretty amazing. So we surveyed our participants, and 82%, remember that number, 82% stated that offering their own self-funded program would generate company revenue. And so we've seen several of our participants start offering their own program. One of our participants had to build a new fertilizer plant based on his increased customer base, new customer base by 35%. 50% of his existing customers were moved into grid sampling, so there was increased revenue there. He also hired 2 employees to track information and create nutrient management plans. One of our other participants recruited 20 new customers, totaling 1,700 acres. And his bottom line return on investment was $160,000 from new chemical and fertilizer sales from those customers. So this was a great response that we received. We are actually developing a variable rate technology business case calculator that will allow ag retailers to input information and come up with a return on investment if offering their own self-funded program. So back to our story. In 2015, we initiated this cost share, but we also expanded into the entire Great Lakes Basin through support from the Great Lakes Protection Fund. And we saw similar participant efforts to increase sales. So this is kind of confusing, but I wanted to put these side by side to show how increased sales, or you'll see adoption of acres, serviced acres, translates to increased phosphorus loss reductions. So the blue line, let's see if this works. There we go. The blue line is all of our Great Lakes Basin participants, so that actually includes the Sandusky River Basin, which is the green line. And so both of them in 2018 contributed to over 4.6 million pounds of total phosphorus loss. So this is really huge. So we're trying to add to our suite of promoted products and services and to figure out nutrient loss reductions from those moving forward. But the effort that we put in this area to promote those products and services by working one-on-one through these cost shares, through different educational outreach, allowed us to expand into the upper Mississippi River Basin in 2018 through support from the McKnight Foundation. We now have 90 ag retailer participants that represent over 5.3 million acres in both basins. And according to our 2018 season survey, they contributed combined over 6.3 million pounds of total phosphorus reduction. And of that, 1.2 million pounds of dissolved reactive phosphorus, and an additional over 59 million pounds of total nitrogen loss reduction. So that's a lot of money kept on fields, customer fields. And so the reports that we compile with all of this information are vital tools for retailers, as well as other shareholders or stakeholders. So we have an overall aggregate report, so of all of our responses. And then we also have individual reports that we give to our ag retailers that document their efforts to improve water quality, their product and service adoption compared to those in their state and the basin and basin-wide. And we also track that data year to year. So they're able to look at increases and decreases in beneficial product and service adoption over time. But we don't just look at water quality impacts. We look at profitability as well. So in our 2018 season survey, respondents stated that the most profitable products and services were variable rate technology, side dress, top dress, and foliar feeding. So I've circled some numbers that affect these percentages. So based on if they're breaking even, they don't offer that service, or they just don't track that profitability for that certain product and service or service. But what I found really interesting about this was that almost 50% stated that they were generating a profit from cover crops. And 37% also stated that they were breaking even. So I don't know if they quantified their savings from water holding capacity, nutrient retention, erosion control, and so forth. But I thought these numbers were pretty great to see. We also track profitability of precision ag services. So again, gritter zone sampling was the most profitable. Satellite or aerial imagery was ranked more profitable than drones. And then, of course, the yield monitor with GPS outranked both of those as most profitable. We also track barriers to precision ag adoption for both the customer and ag retailer. And just as a caveat, it's through the customer barriers through the eyes of the ag retailer. So the number one barrier was the cost of precision ag equipment, which we all know. Number two was that ag retailers perceived that translating the benefits of precision ag services and inferring various practices is too thought and time consuming for customers. And at the same time on their end, presenting the benefits, understanding and presenting the benefits of precision ag is too challenging. So this is an issue that PARM and the ag industry needs to tackle. And of course, here's another cry for that we need, increased literature on the economic return on investment of beneficial practices, not just precision ag, but beneficial practices in general. And the water quality impacts. And we see a number of case studies popping up over the past few years, which have been really vital to increase shared experiential knowledge. And I think they really set ag professionals up for success if you understand what other people have gone through, what considerations they've had to make over the years. We actually worked with Datu Research. We collaborated on a few case studies that are up on their site and ours for farmers and ag retailers looking at cover crops and no-till. Ours are on the ag retailer side. So I would encourage everyone to check those out. So we also get the word out about the positive strides ag retailers are making through our press releases. We also submit press releases on educational materials that we develop that are of interest to ag retailers, looking at profitability, adoption trends, water quality issues. And so we submit those press releases to trade press, but also to our partners like the Fertilizer Institute, Ag Retailers Association, Ohio Agribusiness Association, Field to Market, and so forth to share with their members. And it's been really vital to them as well. And so one thing to note is that when we expand into new areas, the information that we retain from our surveys is some of the most, I guess I would say, that information hasn't existed before us. And so it's really vital for ag professionals and agribusinesses to have this to show the public and some watershed organizations that may have misperceptions on what is going on in the watershed at a large scale, what's really happening. And I'm saying this because we've run into it. We've had watershed organizations, land and water resources departments say that that the educational outreach was saturated. We did we're fine. There are no misperceptions about water quality and so forth. And that just isn't the case sometimes. And maybe it's just the people that they work with, but I think that it gives a larger perspective of what's really going on. And so I mentioned we provide educational resources to retailers and their customers. We try to keep them all free. We've been hosting a webinar series since 2015. Our speakers present on the latest nutrient management for different various or for various products and services like precision ag equipment and timing, rate, placement, things like that. And our webinar audiences average over 400. Majority are ag retailer employed staff and independent consultants, as well as producers, agribusinesses, manufacturers, and so forth. And so we get a really great response on those. We're also working with the University of Georgia and Heidelberg University on developing maps for the several Midwest maps that will help ag retailers or agronomists and their customers highlight fields that might deserve special attention in regards to phosphorus loss. So users will be able to input acres. So this is a calculator that will be associated with the map. So they'll be able to input acres and calculate their phosphorus loss reduction, or what they're retaining on fields. And this should be uploaded this spring, and it will be available to anyone for free. So we also develop paper materials as well. So we have a 4R approved phosphorus loss reduction handbook for agronomists, which gives information, updated information on algal blooms, fact sheets for agronomists, consultants, CCAs, that help start conversation and explain the benefits of certain products and services that are beneficial to their customers. So again, addressing that barrier. And so we also develop customized resources for specific geographic regions so that we can get the most applicable data out there. On the right, we have our 4R phosphorus loss reduction wallet cards with helpful tips for agronomists and their farmers. They can hand those out. We've distributed more than 25,000 in multiple states throughout the U.S. So last summer, we partnered with Spark, so Sustainability Programming for Ag Retailers and CCAs, to contribute information to some of their interactive modules for ag retailers and CCAs. Most of our information is in that last one, developing a sustainability program. So this presents information for ag retailer management on how to package services to include sustainability insights, how to engage new and existing customers around sustainability, and how to promote sustainability leadership and recognition. So those are available on the American Society of Agronomy website, online classroom under Spark. So I would encourage you all to check it out. We'll also be explaining those modules in our webinars coming up in summer and fall. So another project we work on, it's a collaborative partnership between American Farmland Trust, Cornell Cooperative Extension, Wood County here, Soil and Water Conservation District, that we focus on engaging women non-operator landowners and their tenants to increase conservation practices on rented land. So we know that observing the benefits of conservation practices sometimes takes longer than a year, most often does, making it increasingly important to have extended lease agreements. And it's important for landowners and tenants to invest in those. Second, we know that 54% of U.S. cropland is currently rented ground, and that number is increasing. That's according to the USDA Economic Research Service. And number three, many non-operator landowners are removed from agriculture and are seeking information or may need information on beneficial practices and how they affect soil health and water quality. And so GLCC, so Great Lakes Conservation Connect, is promoting conservation through creative lease agreements, working one-on-one or holding landowner and tenant workshops and learning circles in Ohio and New York. We're hoping to expand those. And then also through educational outreach. So we're hosting a webinar series. We've already released 2 this year. There's one coming out in late March that will present a landowner and tenant discussion on how they've worked together to implement conservation practices. So I just wanted to play a quick video. I think I can only do one, running out of time, but of what our participants are saying, what they see that has changed on the land when implementing certain products and services. Our first video is a customer of one of our ag retailer participants, Nutrien in Ohio. The second video is one of our other Nutrien participants in Michigan.
My name is Mark Wirtz. I'm from Crestline, Ohio. We farm around 1,500 acres in Richland and Crawford County. I work with my dad, my brother, my nephew, and my son. We use cover crops, waterways, variable rate fertilizing, and a lot of no-till, minimal-till practices too. What I've seen I'm liking because it's making the ground more mellow, making organic matter better in the soil. And the waterways I really like because we're not getting the gullies in the fields like we used to have, and it's just the water coming through the field at the drainage tile is a lot cleaner than what it used to be. There's a lot of areas we always just used to do a blanket spread where we put about 400 pounds of fertilizer on everything. Well, you do this variable rate, and there's a lot of areas in the field that don't need anything, and the other areas that may need more, and it does a better job of just balancing that farm out. That and the cover crops, like I said, they help keep that, the nutrients in the field too. You're reclaiming the nutrients from the soil, bringing it back up to the surface for that year's crop. We did a multi-blend cover crop last spring, and that was the best corn we ever had. What made me get started in this was actually my son in his high school. Got us going to a meeting in Seneca County. Slag test was one of the things he did. He showed, and then he had like 4 beakers, like no-till, conventional till. He poured the water in, and he could just watch the mud run through the ones, and the ones that had the cover crop on, the water come out pretty clear. I mean, it made sense when they got to talking about it. As far as the profit end, yes, I think you get the yield in that field more consistent. Instead of having them areas of the field that don't amount to anything, now they're starting to come around, and it's bringing better yields across the map. Long term, I think future generations will appreciate that if we start doing a better job with our farms. I think we're working for the right goal though, for cleaner water and save our topsoil and keep our fields from being, like I said, gullied up.
So we're actually introducing a cover crop incentive program this year for select watersheds in the upper Mississippi River Basin. So ag retailers will be able to offer those to those that are new to cover crops and those that have existing acres but are expanding acres without field history with cover crops. So we also enroll, oh, and we're hoping to expand that program to other watersheds soon. We'll keep you updated. So I also want to recognize some of our corporate members. So we enroll corporate members to support our organization. So our gold member, the Andersons, and silver member, Garrity Ag Services, LLC, and Nutrien. They have done a lot to support us, and they're supporting the strides ag retailers make to improve water quality. And then I also want to give a big shout out to our 2018 participants. They took our survey, they do a lot of work with us, they're very active, especially in Ohio. We've been here for 9 years, and some of the most enthusiastic and engaged retailers and customers, their grower customers, are just amazing. We love our partnerships here. We really like Ohio. And then I just want to give a shout out to our other funders and collaborators, namely the McKnight Foundation, Great Lakes Protection Fund, and Clean Lakes Alliance. All right, the text in blue are all the PARM members. If you have any questions, you can email me. All right, thank you.